Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. First off, I want to ask, how is everybody doing? Genuine question, feel free to answer in the comment section because I am genuinely asking. We are in tough, crazy times. We are in global crisis. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Coronavirus is spreading like wildfire and it's crazy. What's crazy is the number of people I'm still seeing who don't give two shits. Like, wow, it's always in the darkest times that you get a look at what people are really like, and we're in one of those times, and the assholes are coming out in full force, and it's really, really messed up. But I know a lot of people are dealing with losing their jobs, losing their income. Some people are just scared. We have social distancing in action. We have isolation in action. Sorry. So please tell me how you are dealing with all of this. How have you been affected? I personally am okay. My life has not been impacted by all this in any way. Because I'm already unemployed, so you can't take that away from me. I am starting to get a little bit more concerned when I have to go out and go to the supermarket to get us things. Luckily, I don't have to do it that often. But the weather here in Australia has changed. We are now in autumn, I believe, and the temperature has started to drop, and because of a temperature drop, my allergies have been triggered. I've had several allergic reactions in the last couple of days alone. I'm very nasally and congested. It's not fun. And in turn, that is weakening my immune system because my body is attacking itself right now. So I definitely don't want to leave the house, and doing so makes me very nervous because it's bad enough that if I was healthy, I could catch something, but it's like it may affect me even worse now that I'm a little bit more weakened. And I live with my mom who's in her 70s. She has autoimmune issues. She's also blood type A, which is being considered the more high risk blood type at getting this virus. I, however, am O positive, so that's score one for me. But I definitely don't want to go out to go and get us something to feed ourselves at the supermarket and then bring home a virus and kill my mother. So right now I'm doing my part. I hope everybody else is doing theirs, because I went to the supermarket yesterday and people weren't giving two shits about protocols that have been put in place. They just did not care. And so I'm still pretty pissed off about that. But that is not what we're here for today. We're going to talk about movies, not think about any more coronavirus. We did our talk, so I'm not going to talk about it in any more videos coming up. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Bloodshot. Bloodshot was the last film that I saw in the cinema. Our cinemas only just officially closed down due to government say-so. Which, not a big deal considering there wasn't really anything else to do because all the films have been cancelled. I didn't know that this was going to be my last film, but nevertheless, here we are, so let's get into today's review. Bloodshot is a 2020 American superhero film based on the Valiant Comics character of the same name, directed by David S.F. Wilson in his feature film directorial debut, with a screenplay by Jeff Wadlow and Eric Heisserer from a story by Jeff Wadlow. Intended to be the first installment in a series of films set with a Valiant Comics shared cinematic universe, it follows a Marine who was killed in action only to be brought back to life with superpowers by an organization that wants to use him as a weapon. As always, I'm gonna keep it real. When I first saw the trailer, I was not impressed. I didn't hate it, but it felt done, and every scene they picked for the trailer involved bad CGI, so I was not enthusiastic about seeing this film and made a great many jokes at its expense. So I'm glad to say I walked away very surprised and feel Wadlow has slightly redeemed himself for Fantasy Island and Truth or Dare. Emphasis on slightly because those films were god-awful. Now, I still don't feel Bloodshot is anything special or that imaginative for that matter. Every aspect of this film really felt like they just combined plots from Iron Man 3 and Upgrade. Upgrade, you had Guy, now alive and controlled by next level tech, trying to get revenge on the people who killed his wife. Iron Man 3, you had Guy Pearce running experiments on former military folks, turning them into killing machines with next level science that allows them to rapidly heal. All of these things happen in Bloodshot, so safe to say it all felt like I've seen it before. With that said, I think the action was a lot of fun, the story was engaging and had a good pace, so I never felt bored and I never felt my mind wandering off, which it loves to do. I was following the story at all times and had a couple of chuckles. The film doesn't try for Marvel level comedy, just a light moment here and there to keep the ride more interesting, which I really appreciated. There weren't any new or interesting character dynamics, but the performances are good and it's fun watching the characters interact, so that's not such a bad thing. The action had levels and isn't non-stop. It does ease off a few times, so it's more entertaining when it picks up again, as opposed to having the foot on the gas the entire time and burning out too quickly. Like I said, it had a really good pace that knew when to switch up the tempo of the story as to keep you engaged, and engaged I was. Vin Diesel certainly wasn't pushed out of his element in terms of action. In fact, he does far less in this film than we've seen him do in his career thus far, so I think this was a piece of cake for him. What I loved about this character was they gave him this strong emotional and moral core, and there were several scenes where he wasn't just brooding or being overly intense. There was an emotional depth to his performance and his character, and it was really refreshing to see that because I don't feel I've seen that side of his acting in quite a while. It's good to be reminded he can do more than just punch things, that he can display more human emotions than brute force, so I am interested at the prospect of seeing more of that side of him. There honestly isn't much else to say about our other characters, but I was disappointed we only got to see one action scene from Isa Gonzalez, and in that scene I saw some signature Black Widow moves, so again it didn't feel like they tried to experiment or do something new with the action. They went for more tried and true techniques, relying on things they knew couldn't fail. It feels like they played it very safe with this film, which on the one hand worked because I did enjoy myself, but on the other hand I do feel it could have benefited from taking some risks. The only character in this film I hated was Jimmy Dalton, played by Sam Heughan. Now, I'm aware this character is not meant to be liked as he is a bad guy, but that's not why I dislike him. I dislike him because he is such a boring, overused action cliche, so every time he was on the screen, I was annoyed and hating him even if he wasn't speaking. Films that feature the military love to have good guys who still have their old training morals. They also love to have that one guy who only ever signed up so he could enjoy killing things and is a true psychopath at heart. That's Dalton. It's so overdone, it's not interesting anymore. On top of that, I think he suffers severe insecurities because everything about this character is a pissing contest. Constantly trying to boost himself up in an attempt to look tougher than a guy who doesn't give a crap about his existence. It's sad. I'm tired of this type of character. You like killing, we get it. What else you got? Alright, nothing. Bits of what I just said frankly apply to all the characters. My biggest issue with this film is there is no history or background to any of our characters. We find out their military positions and how they got injured, that's it. We know Ray had a wife, but we don't get enough of a chance to know who any of these people are. We never learn how Dr. Harding created his tech. We never learn his relationship with the other scientists involved. We just know he wants them dead so he can keep the knowledge to himself, but that's so extreme. I wanted to know how we got to that stage. We get glimpses in much of Ray's dialogue about what kind of a person he is, but we don't know anything about his life or what makes him who he is. Our other military characters, we also know nothing about them or their background, so you never really cared what happened to them. It's fun to watch, but if they die, I wasn't gonna cry about it, and that's coming from someone who cries over everything. The script had an idea of a series of events it wanted to depict and how those events would play out, and parts of what set them in motion, but it completely neglected to flesh out and fully develop its characters. Sure, they may intend to do that with sequels, but it helps to start somewhere, so people want to come back for more. I did enjoy the character of Ray, but more than that, I loved Wiggins. Wiggins is light comic relief, and what I thought was going to be a stereotype actually wasn't. Action films love to portray the genius tech guys as mumbling, bumbling idiots who don't know how to communicate with anything that isn't a computer. Wiggins actually can communicate, and while he does stumble and have some socially awkward moments, they aren't a predictable flaw of his character, they're actually a symptom of his current situation. He's been abducted, held captive, forced to do work under the threat of death, and while he fixed one problem, his life is still in danger because now he's got another, so his nerves are completely justified. But unlike cliches, he's not on edge the whole time. He's not jumping at everything or acting terrified. He's very proactive and adapting to his situation, and you see by the end of the film when all the danger is over, he's a far more chill guy and very happy. So I really enjoyed this character. I think Lamorne Morris did a great job, and I hope to see him again in the future. The CGI in this film is very hit and miss. For most of the film, it's looking good. The nanites and the work they do look great. I was into the way they designed them, but then when we're moving towards the end of the film and we're seeing more enhanced person on enhanced person action, that's when the CGI started to look weak. It was very obvious during most of these scenes at this point that the characters were replaced with CGI versions. While that is for obvious reasons, it was awkward how fake they looked, but I do appreciate that they seemed aware of it and tried to mask it with the camera work. They kept the frame moving using different angles at a very fast pace so you wouldn't have too long to linger on the CGI figures. This approach I think was a really smart move. It added to the action of the scene and tried to mask necessary but poorly done CGI characters, so points for effort. Overall, while it had some script flaws and played it quite safe, I was pleasantly surprised and ultimately found it to be a fun, entertaining ride that I would check out again, and I am intrigued to see a universe and more films in it. I think this film sprinkled in just enough elements that stood out so it didn't look 100% like every other film we've already seen. It's a shame this film has come at such a bad time for releases right now, and so hasn't been able to gain momentum, because for a first in a series, I think they're off to a good start. Bloodshot, I know, is now available on VOD, which if you didn't get a chance to see it in the movie, or maybe you just weren't interested, now I guess you don't have to, fork out as much money to go see it at the movies. You can watch it from the comfort of your own home. And I think there would have been a lot of people who were probably going to do that anyway, wait till it was available on streaming where they could get it really cheap because they weren't very appealed by the trailer enough to go to the movies, and well, with coronavirus prior to the cinema shutting down, I don't think smart people didn't want to risk it, which is completely fair enough. I know there were a fair few people who did not like it, some flat out hating it. That's fine. It's a movie, so it's hard to find, nobody's going to agree on a film. We're not going to find the entire populace going, we all think the same thing. No, that's not going to happen. But I'm part of the group of people who actually had fun watching this. I'm not saying it's an amazing film. It certainly doesn't reinvent the superhero wheel, but for what it is, it's fun. And there was just something different. Well, I've already said what was different, but it was just nice to see Vin Diesel just giving something a little different than what we've already seen. It's not drastically different. I don't think he's capable of that kind of range, but there was just something in the emotion he put into his performance that for some reason was like taking me back to The Pacifier. Like, that's what I was feeling, like that kind of almost softness to him. Like, yeah, he's killing people, he's bashing things, he's got brute strength and everything, but there's like some really soft moments that I actually really liked. And so I'm totally down for a sequel. I'm totally down for a universe. Well, I would love to stay and chat, but I've just had a huge sneezing fit and now my eyes are watering and my nose is not feeling too good. So I am going to go. My god, allergies are a bitch if you have them. Whatever you may be allergic to, I feel very sympathetic for you right now because I'm in hell. But oh my god, this is brutal. So please, if you have seen Bloodshot, please comment down below. Tell me what you think about it, what you thought about it. If you didn't go and see it at the movies, let me know why, and then tell me if you're gonna maybe go watch it on streaming. But I think I'm gonna sneeze again, so I better go. Thank you as always to my amazing patrons. Wow, that was really congested. Yikes. Thank you as always to my amazing patrons, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!